Hello, my friends. My name is Antonio, and you're welcome to Italy, a place to love YouTube channel. The channel where I like to show the properties for sale in the Italian market. In each video, I select a property in a different town in one of the 20 beautiful regions of Italy. But today's video, my friends, is not about a property for sale, but I'm back to this topic of the 10 million empty houses in Italy. I want to go back to this topic because it seems like here in Italy, my video has been watched by someone. I don't know, I believe that maybe some of my videos maybe are watched by someone, other YouTubers as well, because sometimes I open very interesting topics and I've noticed that it seems like I've opened the Pandora box. Are you familiar with the Pandora box? So now everyone became aware about these 10 million, nearly 10 million empty houses in Italy. Now, I've been watching in the last 2 weeks since I made the video, I've been watching several YouTube channels, Italian channels, these are not foreigners, which they start discussing about these 10 million empty houses. And my friends, so it opened, as I said, it opened a Pandora box simply because now what's the story? How is it possible that in Italy we have so many empty houses with the housing accommodation problem that we have at the same time? And so, my friends, I want to discuss again about this topic also because during this video that I made 2 weeks ago, I got many comments, many interesting comments. And by the comments, I understood that anyway, basically who have watched my video, they are divided into categories, in two parts, let's say. One that it says, no, I will never buy in Italy, simply because they see the decline, or, I mean, Italy is in a kind of decline, okay? Now, for me, life is still amazing and still beautiful here. Actually, it's 2 years that I moved here, and 2 years that I moved here, and I have no regrets about the fact that I moved to a small town in the south of Italy. Actually, I'm extremely happy. Simply, everything went as I was expecting things to go. Basically, I bought the house, I'm living here happily. I've been able to handle, to manage, but obviously, from the eyes of a foreigner, things are not that easy. Obviously, for me, I'm Italian, it's much easier. But then at the same time, there is another part of the people who wrote under the comments under the video. So basically, they are saying that they would like to move, they are interested, maybe they are interested in buying, maybe they are not happy where they live, maybe they find the situation worldwide going a bit particular, because also this is what pushed me. I have to say, I have to be honest, that what brought me here, it's simply the answer, the global, the worldwide uncertainty that I feel like through the medias, to the mainstream, to the news that we are watching daily. So it seems like things are not going extremely well. So everyone is worried, everyone is concerned about the future, and so basically I understand if there is a part that maybe is still interested in buying or moving to Italy. So, but anyway, so my friends, I want to talk about basically where are these 10 million empty houses, because overall now what I want to understand is where are these empty houses, and if it still if we can still consider a good move, for example, to move where these empty houses are, or simply not. Again, for me, people are divided in 50-50. I believe under this video below in the comment section, I will find someone who is saying, oh, Antonio, I agree with you. Antonio, I disagree. That's fine. I'm for freedom of expression, you know. I like when people can express their feelings, their thoughts, even if they are not matching with mine. Um, as I said, I'm simply enjoying my life here, with all the contradictions that we might have here in Italy and in particular in the south of Italy. But I found contradictions everywhere in my life. So there's no country that I see safe, that I see above from another one. Every country for me has its own problems. So from this point of view, I cannot say that Italy has more problems than other countries. If I put things on the table for each country, believe me, I can find something that I would say, no, maybe that one, no, maybe that one, no. I can say Thailand, I can say Switzerland, I can say Paraguay. Anyway, every place from one side can be a paradise and from another side can be a nightmare. For me, it's simply about then our feelings, the way we want to approach to the life, the way we want to live the life. Simple, very simple, simple as easy. And so, but where are these empty houses in Italy? Now, first of all, I think I said this in the previous video, but in Italy, we have the problem with the aging population. Okay, so basically we have so many elderly people, like in Japan. Someone wrote about Japan, and also Japan has an incredible amount of empty houses. Basically, all the countries where the population is mainly elderly people, where the birth rate is quite low, like in Italy, but so many countries, let's say most of 90% of the Western countries, let's say developed countries, have very low birth rate. Nowadays, it's very expensive to have children. And also we've been educated at first the career and then family. So from this point of view, the younger generation keep delaying, and then sometimes they find themselves completely out from the family system. They might still married, like me. I'm married, happily married, but no children. Okay, didn't come. I'm always saying, if God wants, I always said, if God wanted, they're welcome, but if they're not coming, in brackets, even better. Because, anyway, I see not less problems because call a child a problem, but in many cases I see, now I have to be honest, in many cases I see that families with many children, with children, are struggling more than someone who doesn't. Then, okay, that's another story. But so we have the problem with inherited houses from these elderly people, and is already a big amount of properties that had been inherited. But if we consider all the elderly people that is still alive and all these elderly people that is still owning many properties, let's say because back in the years, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, they put all their savings into the real estate, let's say. So obviously now they find themselves a bit in a tricky situation because all the younger generation, which probably they left, they are inheriting these properties, and they will inherit even more and more and more in the coming years. So we will find even more properties for sale. We will find in the coming years, in the 1, 2, 3, 5 years. I'm not saying that the empty properties might double, but for sure might increase over 50%. Simply because, and they will go on sale simply because who is inheriting these properties, my friends, they will put on sale simply because the cost, taxation is increasing. And sometimes younger families, so the younger generation, cannot afford to maintain all these properties. So they have to put for sale, while they will put for sale in these areas that, let's say, are not really, there's not really high demand in these areas. So basically, we will see even the amount of properties increasing and the prices decreasing. I see constantly, every day on Idealista, on Immobiliare, the prices keep dropping, all negotiable. All the property, mainly 80% of the properties for sale are negotiable prices. So sometimes, if you are interested, and but okay, so inherited houses and apartments, which will increase in numbers, but now also these properties which are inherited and being kept empty, they are in need of renovation, or mainly they're not following the regulation with the cadastral plan. This is another big reason why these properties are empty and not for sale. Because obviously, if there is an issue with the cadastral plan, this property cannot be put on sale, or can be put on sale at a very particular condition, or the owner decide to regulate the property, let's say with a cadastral plan, and then put for sale, but is again money that the owner has to put into the property. And again, as I said, the majority of these properties are in need of renovation, simply because they were built 30, 40, 50 years ago, might have problems with the roof, with outdated bathrooms. Most of the properties that I show on my channel, uh, they have, the weakest point is always the bathroom and the kitchen, plumbing system, electrical system. Now, these properties are low. The prices are low. Then sometimes I'm showing very low prices properties, and someone says, "I won't get it, not even for free." Then obviously there is always, how to say anyway, offer and demand, and the offer, let's say, has to constantly drop the prices. So in which direction we are going is a bit strange, is particular. I might say even a bit unpredictable, because obviously, in general, things are not really figuring out very well. But again, so there is this problem that the houses are outdated. Then we might see even the price lowering, but at the same time, we might still find it expensive. Even if a price is 10,000 or 15,000 euro, we might still find expensive, simply because then the renovation costs are increasing daily. I see in the last 5 years they nearly double. So maybe the best who bought a property 10 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe have done the best thing, but for sure they paid a higher price than now, because now I see that the prices are lowering. Then, obviously, where do we find these properties? In the small villages, small towns, all over, all over Italy. Okay, let's say even in Lombardy, even in the mountain areas, in the Apennine areas. So wherever we have these small towns, very rural, agriculture, not people don't, let's say, we don't have anymore that much farmer as we had 50 years ago, when these houses were lived by farmers. So farmers now became more, they industrialized themselves, so they have tractors. Um, so basically, even farmers can manage to work themselves without need of big labor. The labor, obviously, I can always say that has been taken now by this immigration, by this cheap labor coming from, let's say, not developed countries. So small towns, hamlets, places with lack of services, lack of infrastructure, lack of transportation, and obviously this generates a lack of demand for the properties in this area. But this brings me to a question to myself, because at the same time, I see that there is a trend of people. I mean, we have two trends. We see younger people who don't want to live in the small towns, in the villages, and they are moving, chasing the dreams, uh, the rat race in the big cities. They go to study, they go for career, they go potentially for a better future in the city. But at the same time, I see a lot of people who live in the city, which is fed up with the life in the city, and so they are trying to escape. I see hundreds of stories of people simply nowadays, in particular Italian, I'm referring to the Italians, who are simply who can simply try to run away from the cities, simply because the life in the cities is more expensive. I mean, a rent in Rome, a rent in Milan is, let's say, between 1,000 and 1,500 euro a month. And for many people, it's becoming impossible. Now, obviously, they might have a job, but the money they earn is not enough for them to have a decent life. So people in Italy in particular are trying to find an alternative. And many of them are finding these alternatives in these small towns, small hamlets, let's say, small towns which maybe are not completely isolated, which are not very far maybe from a big town, from a bigger town, or anyway, give the opportunity, like in my case, to buy a property for funny money, because 25, 26, 28,000 euro in the end, these are funny money. I bought a house fully renovated. Okay, I might still go for some upgrading, which I'm not at the moment. I keep it as it is. For me, it's fine. Uh, but overall, keys in hands, ready to live. And I see this trend anyway of Italian people who are simply fed up with the life in the city, and who find the opportunity to make themselves alive in a smaller town, or even completely isolated in the mountains. So many the stories of people leaving the city simply because they were completely burned out. The city does this effect. It did as well to me, which I was completely, not at the level of, let's say, completely exhausted, but I was very close. I couldn't tolerate anymore the traffic. I couldn't tolerate anymore the delinquency, the crime, uh, the curfew, let's say, even if there's not really a public curfew, but you feel it when you are in these big cities that, okay, after 7, 8 p.m., better to stay at home. But anyway, so then this brings me anyway to another point where I say maybe it's better to buy cheap and in good condition. Let's say if someone is interested to try to find the cheapest, let's say the most inexpensive property in the best condition as possible, and there is always a meeting point, let's say, in between these. Um, Obviously, there is a range. I cannot find a property which is in a good condition or fully renovated for 20,000 or for 30,000. Maybe I will get it for 40, 50, 60. I say the best price range is between 40 and 80,000 euro. In this case, it's still possible to find a house which is not in need of renovation. Or the other option is to buy expensive. Uh, but I decided to not go personally for that, simply because if I see an hypothetical recession. Now, I'm not optimistic from this point of view. I believe we will enter in a kind of recession. And so I don't see the point to own a property in a city where I may see, because anyway, if you are hit by a recession, if unemployment is increasing, uh, I don't know, we have the AI nowadays, which they're advertising a lot. I see a lot of things are made with the AI. I'm the only one who refuses to, who refuse totally to use any sort of AI. I mean, it's not friendly to me. It's always tell me, "Oh, Antonio, you're right. You're right." The few times, I try to, nah. Yeah, I might see the advantage maybe to make the things beautiful, but anyway, expensive. The risk of a recession for me, that will bring me to a loss, no profit. So for me, the best at the moment, I have to say, in my opinion, it's simply to have one property basically. Now, if as an Italian, I wouldn't keep more than one property. If I'm gonna inheriting one, two, three properties, as soon as I will inherit these properties, I will put on sale, simply because I don't want to keep paying, unless maybe I might try to put to rent. That will generate, okay, possible, depends where these houses are, if they are in a city. But I don't know. I might decide that simply I see more option to say, okay, I'm gonna sell these properties. I will cash what I can cash. I'm not optimistic from this point of view. For me, in particular in Europe, um, I don't see things going very well. Then, obviously, I see many people complain as well in the States, but in Europe, things are getting harder. European community is not turning very friendly towards people. They are putting more and more restrictions and regulations, and this doesn't make, let's say, the green now. They want properties that have to be zero emission by 2050. Okay, fine, but anyway, I'd see it impossible. Simply for me, they will never make it. These type of things. I mean, fossil fuels. These type of things are necessary for the majority of the things. Then Europe is not doesn't have these natural resources. We also have to import, and then to not talk about immigration problem that maybe I will open in other videos. So that in all Europe there are big immigration issues. So I see that the situation is a bit falling apart in Europe. So my opinion, I saw my choice as an escape. Here, where I am in the small town, I don't have any sort, and let's say, I cannot say zero, no problems at all, but I feel like I'm living a life, because all I want in the end is to live a life. And so let's see what's gonna happen. Again, financially, I'm not optimistic in general for the coming years. Um, so I don't see the economies doing well. Salaries are not increasing. GDPs are not increasing. The economy is stagnating. Inflation is increasing. Um, so basically, the life in the cities can be harder. And then I will always bring my opinion, which says better to live in these small villages, maybe not with many services around, but a better quality of the life, peaceful and less stress. So then, obviously, it's my personal choice. Everyone is free to go in the direction someone wants to go. That's fine. Anyway, empty houses. Then to talk about the empty houses. In the end, I discuss about many other things. This was just a pour parler. Um, I was open to talk in front of the camera about my feelings, my consideration. Let's see, my friends. Let's see where we are heading, and obviously, what is important is to be happy, stay financially safe, and obviously, Italy, in particular for me, the south of Italy, can be a good option from this point of view. Again, someone will agree, someone will disagree. It's fine. Um, then, my friends, I wish you a lovely day with this, let's say, random talk video. Let's see where we are heading. Things are a bit unpredictable, are not really going in favor of a stable situation. And so I'm concerned about this. So that's all I want to say. Okay, my friends, I wish you a lovely day, and I'll see you here on Italy, a Place to Love YouTube channel to my next video. Bye!